Hi, everybody. It is Friday and it is 5 p.m. It's only 5:02, so that's good. And so it's time for Lily's News. My name's Lily, and this is Insane Games TV, YouTube channel. If you're new here, if somehow you found yourself here, we have lots to talk about today. It wasn't like that crazy of a week earlier in the week, but then Wednesday hit and things started getting a little wild. So, I think it is best. Hi, Crystalline. How are you? Good to see you. I hope you are well. Happy Friday. So I think we have to talk about, one really significant passing that happened this past week. And, I mean, I don't want to say yay, but it was about damn time. So we all know Henry Kissinger died, made it all the way to 100. Congratulations for all your war crimes. But it's been an interesting day and a half on the internet, watching everyone talk about the man now that he is no longer on planet Earth. And I think it's really funny because we have known and will continue to know all of the awful and terrible things that this man has done in the name of America, essentially. So I think it's fantastic. I don't really want to get too into it just because maybe I'll talk about it a little later if there's time. But I mean, I could go on for hours about how much we all should have despised this man and how very easy it is to just let the people who control things do whatever they want. So I think it's a really good reminder to vote all the way down to the smallest, tiniest little elections in your own city, because that's how things go awry. So be mindful of who is representing you, and do something about it. All right, so let's talk about the 3-year cruise that has not just been canceled, but it was a scam. These people were scammed. So let's break this down. Okay, so the 3-year cruise, which was supposed to be a thing. Yes, could you imagine being on a cruise ship for 3 years? Like, just straight, just going all around the world, popping in to, I think it was, I want to say like almost 40 different. It was a lot of places for 3 years, living no home. You live in a dorm room for 3 years on a boat. I could never. So Life at Sea wanted this to become a reality. So they said, let's do it. We are Life at Sea, and we want to be the first brand to create this 3-year cruise and give the people what they want. I have a friend who loves cruises, and I think she's been on 3 this past year, and she just said to me, She just said to me that she's a little cruised out. And that was maybe 5 weeks total on a cruise in 1 year. So imagine you see Life at Sea 3 years on a cruise and you say, I want to do that. And the lowest amount you could pay for a 3-year cruise is probably about $45,000 a year per person. This went up to, I don't know, $100,000 to $200,000 a year per person, depending on how bougie you'd like to live on this cruise ship. But the problem is, Life at Sea doesn't have a cruise ship. But they sold it anyway. They said, give us your money. We'll have a ship by like mid-November, and that's when we will just take off. Don't worry. Trust us. We're a random thing that you've never heard of before. We have no reputation, good or bad, but please give me all of your money. And so there are people out there who said, okay, sure, I'll sell my house. I'll sell all of my belongings. I will live in a motel room until we set sail on the open seas for 3 years. And then just days before you're supposed to take off, there's nothing. There's no cruise ship. There's no employees for the cruise ship, and there is no 3-year cruise. Canceled. The shock that you must have experienced knowing that you have given up almost every piece of worldly possession that you own to take on this adventure of a lifetime that it was supposed to be is absolutely mind-boggling. And so over the past couple days, I have been watching a lot of sort of like interviews and moments and talks with people who signed up for this cruise, who paid them a lot of money, and they are still sort of brainwashed to think that it wasn't necessarily a scam. So why did Life at Sea not have a cruise ship? That's a great question. So they didn't have a cruise ship, but they took a lot of money from people who wanted to go on this cruise. And they said, you know what? We have all this money. It'll be so easy to get backers, to get people with a lot of money to finish off the actual cost of purchasing a cruise ship, and it won't be a problem. And they had their eyes set on a ship, and they said, ooh, we want that one. That's perfect. It's deluxe. It's luxurious. It's everything that we need. We got a captain. Now we need a ship. And we also have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from these random humans. It didn't work. They didn't get anyone to back the deal. So the deal fell through. So they have no ship. And then they're like, okay, look, we have enough money to get this little guy, smaller ship, much smaller ship, but it was too small for the amount of people that have already paid to go on a 3-year cruise. It was too small. It was too old. It wasn't worth the purchase. So how can a company who wants to set a 3-year cruise and essentially turn this into a business and a profitable business, do this without having an actual ship? Well, they hold on to your money and hope for the best. And even though there was no cruising out into the ocean and seeing the world in mid-November, they said, well, maybe December. Don't lose hope yet. We still have your money. Maybe December. And then it has now turned into, we might have to cancel this. But if you want your money back, which I don't know who wouldn't want their money back, If you want your money back, we can give it to you. And you know what? Maybe we'll even throw in a free cruise for you as well. On what ship? On what ship, Life at Sea? On what ship? Now, there is also the option that if you have paid to go on this 3-year cruise and you do not need your money back, don't know how that would be a thing, then you still have a spot when they do find a ship. When they do. Don't know when that's going to be. Don't know. But you could still hold your spot. To think that there would be so many humans, 600 cabins worth of humans, to immediately say yes to this thing that has never happened before, that will most likely never happen, in my opinion, and to give them all, essentially, for some people, all of their money is absolutely mind-blowing. And for some of these people to still sit on camera and say, you know what? I have faith that we'll either get our money back or get a cruise. Why? What about any of the communications? It is so jinky. Let me pull up. It's so jinky. I love it. I mean, not for them. That's really sad for them. Let me see here. Where's the search? I hate Instagram on a computer. Life at sea. Okay, let me pull this up. And we should watch. So this is what like really unsettles me, is that their whole tagline, like everything that's going to happen is directly on it's directly on their like bio on Instagram. Like you can't really fit what is happening on a 3-year cruise, and that's all that was really being sold. Come sail with us for 3 years and live your life at sea. 7 continents, 140 countries, more than 382 ports, and our beautiful MV Lara, which isn't a thing. Okay, so this is
residents. It's Robert here with Captain Petrinius. Hello. Good afternoon from a beautiful Bremerhaven. We're standing on the bridge here. That's correct. The captain's home away from home, and our home away from home. The bridge on board the MV Lara. That's correct.
I personally don't see these two human beings, this man right here being the captain of the potential ship that they'll have, to be very trustworthy. Nothing's really giving me, hi Deborah, nothing's really giving me like, oh yeah, no, I'm glad you showed up in not your sweatpants. Like why are you wearing, you're real comfy at your job of sailing a boat for 3 years with thousands of people on board. That's a lot. So another big issue with this entire Life at Sea thing was the insurance. There's not a single insurance company out there that would insure not just a captain, but an entire cruise ship with thousands of people for 3 years. That's insane. Especially if it's the first one. We've all seen Titanic. Like, we all know what happens there when they try something new. What happens when your boat gets damaged? I just feel like it's so unthought out. And in my opinion, it was just a crowdfunding situation that needed to be done for these scammers to get a cruise ship. I don't know why it went in this route. I don't know if it's like a money thing or if it's an actual cruise ship thing, but it doesn't really make sense. They did offer to refund the money that people pay to get like their visas and like passports and stuff like that as well. But also it's very strange. I feel like there are so many requirements to enter so many different countries that how could you cover all of it as just like a person? Like you have to be like certain vaccines and you have to do this and you have to do that. And I feel like there's just places that you can't just walk into off of a cruise ship. Like how are these people coordinating like docking an entire cruise ship and letting like 1,000 people off the ship into a country they've never been to? Are there translators? There was just so little information, but so many people gave so much of their life to it. I don't understand how it happened. Hi, Demi. I don't understand how it happened. I don't understand why it happened. And I just don't understand why people still have faith in it. It is so very strange to me. I saw a woman, she had knee surgery, or it was like knee or hip surgery, because she was going to need it eventually, but to go on this 3-year cruise, she's like, I'm going to get it now so I don't have to worry about it. Like, what if you get sick? What if you pass away? There's no way that this is a good idea. This isn't a good idea. There's nothing good about just like the fuel alone. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's happening, and they say that there still is a potential for this to happen. I will believe it when I see it. I didn't even believe that it was a thing until I saw like some news alerts coming in. I was like, I need more information. Do you guys remember when we talked about Mizzy a few months ago? Mizzy was that TikToker who like would do terrible things. Mizzy was a TikToker, video creator, I don't even want to call him that, who walked into this young couple's home. The wife was like in her front yard and the door was open and they had like a little baby, and him and his friends just like walked through their gate and they're like, hey, hello, hey, is this where we're meeting or something like that? And they just barge into their home, and like the guy's like, get out, like my child's here. A very, very uncomfortable, very terrifying situation, because you don't know what anyone's going to do when they walk into your home, especially with their cameras out, being loud and obnoxious. So Mizzy was the kid who he went to court. He had to pay a little fine. He went and said, I'm sorry, which I'm sure was much appreciated. And while he is now going to jail, kind of. So Mizzy, whose real name is Bakari Bronze Ogaro, so that's a thing, he was found guilty of 2 counts of breaching court order prohibiting him from sharing footage of people without their consent at his trial last month. And the judge added, your actions caused innocent members of the public significant harm and distress. You claimed on national television the law was weak, because he went on the Piers Morgan show after like his big initial debacle, and was like, screw it, like I don't care, they're never gonna get me. Well, they got you, homie. They got you, my guy. They got you when you are going to, now hear me out, you're going to a young offenders institution, which is very strange to me. And a lot of people had an issue with this as well. He's 19 years old, which in America makes you an adult. I'm not too familiar on how the UK would see it. I think him going to a non-young offenders institution, an adult offenders institution, would do a lot more for him when it comes to a level of punishment than a young offenders institution. But hey, I'm not the judge. He also has a kid. So he is leaving his kid for 18 weeks to go to this young offenders institution. He made all of these poor choices continuously. He was told to stop doing it, and then he didn't do it. He was fined, and then he kept doing it. And then it got to a point where there was a video where he like hopped on a train with a bunch of people, and he was like hitting buttons, and it could actually like cause like harm to someone. Like you could do something wrong, you could break the train down, you're not just physically causing harm to someone, but like if a train stops, it can back up other trains, people aren't getting home, it's like a whole nightmare that is so unnecessary. And the judge made it clear in his ruling that Mizzy's jokes and videos were not funny, which I thought was amazing. Because they're not funny. They're really just lame. Like, you're just a lame, like, you have no personality. You're just a lame person. You're just a lame-o. Mizzy tried to say that, like, oh, one of my friends has my login and they were posting videos, so it wasn't me. If you are ordered by a judge to no longer post videos of people without their consent online, and you know that your friend has your login and your friend is just like you, I would probably maybe change that information so that they don't post videos on your behalf and then you go to jail for 18 weeks. I don't know. That's just a silly thought. That's just a silly thought that I had, but you know. Anywho, that was Mizzy. That was an update on him, which when I saw that I was like, wow, that's actually kind of crazy. He was also fined, I think, 158 pounds, which I think it was 158, which is kind of, it's still so low, you know, like you're fining him a couple of dollars. You're putting him in a young offenders institution. You're not really doing anything. And at this point, I feel like there's a conversation on not just not actually punishing anyone for, you know, like criminal trespassing or anything like that, or breaking a judge's like ruling, maybe even like wasting tax dollars, you know, like if you are continually pulling someone in, I'm not saying throw them in jail for 18 years, but like punish them because they've punished their community with these like inane videos and the screaming and the running and the like the mischief, I guess you could say. I don't know, it just seems really weird. Like if you have someone who continually acts out and makes very strong claims that the law is weak and then the law continues to be weak, you're just encouraging them to keep doing what they're doing, because there's never going to actually be any consequences, because you're just handing them weak laws that they know are weak. It's kind of sad. Like you're helping him. Honestly, you're keeping him in the news cycle. You know, there's gonna be more articles about the guy. You're giving him more views. You're giving him more clicks, and until you like shut it down. So, but that's all. That's not up to me. I don't make any of those decisions. Have you guys seen the new Cosmix? I thought this was kind of funny. McDonald's is making a new like restaurant. It's called Cosmix, like MCS, and it's very strange. So people were talking about it and looking at it, and I saw TikTok about it, and I was like, let me see, where did I put it? Where did it go? Oh, it was Business Insiders. Okay. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just send this so I can open it up for you guys. Okay, this is kind of crazy. This is fun. This is silly. This is wild. Let me scoot this over. Whoops. Okay, so Business Insider got a look at the menu for Cosmix, McDonald's new restaurant. It's so funny. Okay, so there's like a retro vibe to it. I guess I don't really want to say retro, but like a retro futuristic vibe to it. Almost like, oh, what is that place called? Like Sonic's? You know, it kind of has like that retro-y vibe, but it's like still like futuristic-esque. So this is the Business Insider article about Cosmix. Let's see. And they say it's a spin-off concept, which is interesting. Driving by the former Boston Market location, he spotted cars in 4 drive-through lanes outfitted with new digital menu boards. The menus were filled with adventurous drinks. So there's iced teas and lemonades. Let's see. Sour cherry energy burst. Sour tango lemonade. Half and half. So funny. Island pick-me-up punch. Berry hibiscus sour 8. So it's like all these kind of like lemonades and slushy-esque, a churro frap. They have this little sandwich board. It looks like breakfast stuff that they have, but I just think it's so funny. Like, McDonald's needs to make more money. It's surprising you get a Dutch Bros kind of feeling here. They look to be combining the all-day breakfast demand with Starbucks caffeine demand and mixing drinks that are more kid-friendly than Starbucks. So I thought this was kind of interesting. Look at all this. I don't go to fast food places, but popping pear slush. I just thought some of these were so funny. But okay, so let's talk about these energy burst drinks. I'm sure they're like caffeinated lemonades, just like Panera. You guys have to be so careful. Oh my gosh. The first time I had a charged lemonade from Panera, it was during a holiday, so I was working like a 12-hour shift, and I thought my heart, my brain, and my veins were going to explode out of my body, and I maybe drank like a third of it. They are so insanely caffeinated to the point where it's so dangerous. I like a coffee in the morning, maybe like a small afternoon coffee. Hi Jen, how are you? But I don't like the idea of something that doesn't taste like it has caffeine, having caffeine, because it's so easy to just breeze over that and ingest way too much caffeine, and it's so scary. It's so scary when you don't know what's happening. Like you can't comprehend that it's just caffeine and it'll go. Like, just have a drink of water and just try to breathe. But I don't know. I can get a little extra caffeinated some days, but this level of caffeine was intense. And there's no information about it unless you look it up online when it comes to those charged lemonades at Panera. And there was actually a girl who passed away from having a charged lemonade at Panera. She had a pre-existing heart condition, and she stayed away from energy drinks like Red Bulls, or is Alani an energy drink? I saw that. What's the other ones? Monsters, those types of things. And she got a charged lemonade, drank the whole thing, not knowing that there was caffeine, and not just a little caffeine, but a lot of caffeine in it. And she did result in passing away from the heart complications from having all of that caffeine with her heart condition. It's very, very scary. I got scared. So if I get a charged lemonade from Panera, because like I'm on the drink thing, like, so you can just go get a drink, you know, you can get a charge, like, okay, so this is what I do. Fill the entire cup all the way to the brim with ice. I'm telling you, all the way to the brim. Get your little drink in there, and then when you get home, like, pour half of it away and put it in the fridge. It'll be fine for tomorrow, and then you have a little energy pick-me-up. But do not go out drinking those. There's also no way to control it because it's a powder mix. So sometimes there could be more powder, which is more caffeine than other days. It is so scary. A friend of the family died of a heart attack from drinking a 5-hour energy drink. You got to be so careful. It's frightening. I don't like it. I think it should be, I don't like it. I don't know. There's just so many. I don't like how I feel when I didn't like it. I didn't like how I felt when I had all of that charged lemonade, and I didn't even drink a lot, and it was so crazy. But the funny thing is, people noticed it before I noticed it, and then when someone said it, I was like, oh my God, my heart is racing. I'm scared. So just be careful with all that stuff. It's so frightening. So then they talk about some of the stuff on the menu. The cars were obviously blocking like the drive-through because it's not open yet. Look at how cute. That is cute. I guess there's like 4 lanes. I'm sorry, is that a drone? Is that a drone? What's going on here? Hey, are you open? The person wanted to know. We're just filming something cute. And that's really it. So keep an eye out for that. That might be happening. I won't touch anything with the caffeine. I like a little coffee. I'll take some coffee. But golly, you got to be careful. I'm telling you, you got to be careful. So what else is on the topics for today? Oh yes. Oh my God, there's some wild things. Letter to America is trending, which is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't know why. I don't know. I guess it is appropriate that a letter to America by the good old Bin Laden is trending the same week Henry Kissinger dies. I guess that is pretty much on board for the trajectory that the trajectory that America's going into. So I think that I don't, you know what? I can't talk about these people. A Letter to America, if you are not aware, penned by Bin Laden. Read it. Have conversations, but you have to understand that I'm sure that there's generational differences in comprehending words from this human. Younger people, what are they, Gen Zers? I don't like labeling people like that, but whatever. Younger people, I feel like are going to have a completely different reaction, and we've seen the reaction on TikTok. I'm not going to play any of them because it kind of makes me sick to my stomach. There's going to be a completely different reaction in your brain, in your mind, in your blood, in your aura to reading this letter as a younger person and someone who was conscious and self-aware during, before, and immediately after 9/11 occurred. And so we experienced politics and policies and the reaction that America has in a very different way, in a very, gosh, I don't want to say harmful way, but we have been hardened. Us as, older people who have experienced and were there, and alive and watched it happen, kind of have these different calluses built up to the words of this human. And to see the younger generation come in contact with his words, this letter, and which may be an edited version or whatever, I don't know, is very interesting, and in my opinion very concerning. And I think that there's an education necessary to know, not just what this person did, but who this person was, the background, their history, their entire kind of overarching life story. It's very frustrating to me. When I saw that A Letter to America was trending, I saw videos, of people verbalizing their very visceral reactions to these words, and it was almost heartbreaking, because I had to remember that they weren't there, they don't know, and they just need to also learn. And I think it's scary the way that a lot of these young people are reacting in such positive ways. And I think that education and a realization that this person was a real person, and this person was um, bad, bad, but also unfortunately backed at some point by the U.S., by the CIA. So there's a lot of, it's complicated. It's very complicated. And I hope that the younger folks have families, friends, books, a source outside of their own generation to help educate them on the author of these words. That's my hope. And so if you are in direct contact with anyone who may have just read A Letter to America, or any other iterations of it, and want to talk about it, please talk to them real, and include the realness and the truth about Bin Laden, the past, the everything, not just the one thing, the everything, which is, I think, is really important. The context to that human is so extremely important when it comes to that letter. So I was extremely shocked when I started seeing these videos, these young kids going, everything's different now, my life has changed. Whoa. Whoa. I'm sorry. What? Like hashtag Bin Laden. Like, no, we can't have that happen. We can't do that. We can't do that here. We can't do that here. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so last week we talked about Matt Rife, and I want to talk about him again, and I also want to get to Netflix's Squid Games, the challenge, because, so those are the last two things that I have to talk about. Okay, so Matt Rife, like last week, I said is being canceled for it really also the fire sparked with his domestic violence joke that he had at the start of his Netflix special, testing the waters of the crowd, which there's like a rumor going around, I don't know if it's true or not, that the laughs in the Netflix special was a laugh track. Now, I don't know for sure, but it kind of sounded like it to me. I'm not going to play any of the Netflix special or any, or that joke in particular, because Netflix is really, like, mean about it online, and I don't want, like, the channel to get any kind of marks or anything, but it's right on Netflix. It's all over TikTok. You can look it up. And so that happened. And it was, the joke, to recap, it was a hostess at a restaurant had a black eye, and him and his friend were like, oh, wow, she's the face of the restaurant. Man, oh man, they should put her in the kitchen. Can't be looking like that. And then, the joke is, well, if she knew what she was doing in the kitchen, she probably wouldn't have the black eye. That's the joke. That's the joke. It's not a funny joke. Like I said last week, it also wasn't set up right. It was clunky. There are a lot of comedians. I don't want to just completely repeat myself from last week, but there's a lot of comedians that make real life funny, awful things funny. And it sort of helps to heal as communally our trauma. And it's some people got it and some people don't. In my opinion, Matt Rife really kind of blew it on that one. It just didn't feel right. It just wasn't there. Now, he responded to all of the backlash from a lot of people, the majority being women, with a response on his Instagram that said, if you got offended by my joke, click this link, and the link took you to a website for special needs helmets. That didn't help any of the backlash that he was getting, nor did him announcing on a couple of sort of podcasty interview situations that he is tired of having women be his majority audience, and that it's not his thing, and that he never wanted that in the first place. So, and that's fine. You don't have to want women as your audience. That's fine. But you have an audience because of the women in your audience. And I think it's just a little disrespectful to, even if you don't want them as your audience, to just completely disrespect them. Like, in a way that isn't just, I don't want you guys as my audience right now, but I'm going to be the most misogynistic, disgusting man possible because I just want to be chilling with the bros. I don't want girls here. Ew, girls like pink and stuff. I'm a bro. Sports. We get it. Everything is everything is for men. This past year has been a fantastic year to really embrace a female audience in a way that doesn't feel like it's made for women. So we had Barbie, which I think was a fantastic film that didn't just embrace a female audience, but embraced everyone, and was a fantastic like moment of education, and it was brilliant. Yes, of course, mainly women enjoyed Barbie. There was a lot of men who had a lot of pushback on it. Oh, Barbie movie, how dare we, when there's like 18 Avengers movies that women also watch too. We had Taylor Swift kind of just take over, which was great. And I think it really opened a lot of men's eyes that having more women at, football, doesn't make it worse. There's just now more people at football. Some of the backlash from men, some of the information from men that they decided to share on the internet, and I'm not saying all men. I saw a moment online where there was a woman saying basically, you know, like, we got this, women, like, it's been a great year, so, you know, we can do this. It's good. We're doing great. We're moving in a great direction for things that have a majority female audience that isn't just for the girls type of energy. It's like a different, we're maturing the vibe of like content for women. And I saw a man's response. And it was like, oh my God, you guys take one thing and just keep talking about it. Okay. That's fine. We could talk about it all the time. Just like how every person has the thing that they like the most, that they do the most. And it was a really interesting way to say, we don't want to hear you talk, instead of, we don't want to hear you talk about something that I don't like. I'd rather just not hear you talk at all. And I think Matt Rife has sort of found himself in that arena of, I'd rather just not hear women talk at all, if it's about what they like or if it's about what they don't like. Because only someone, in my opinion, in that arena would then, in the midst of like the biggest cancellation, this is air quotes, cancellation of their career, go on Jordan Peterson on his podcast. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Jordan Peterson, but he is a man of many tears. He is a man who started a career with intelligence and grandeur, and was a big thinker. You know, he really thought, and he was interesting, and he shared his thoughts, and then his thoughts turned into hate for women. Okay, very much in the same lane as an Andrew Tate, very much in the same lane as oh God, I don't even know that. I know his, I don't even remember his name. You guys know, the one with the voice and the face. So Matt Rife decided to go on Jordan Peterson, who praised him for how he decided to handle the distaste, the vocalized distaste of the domestic violence joke, by referring to anyone who was offended by that as someone who needed a special needs helmet, which in my opinion is absolutely disgusting. The joke wasn't as offensive as the Instagram post that took you to the website for the special needs helmet. That wasn't as offensive. The sitting on a podcast was more offensive and saying, I don't want women as my audience, than the joke about domestic violence. The podcast, the interviews about the joke have been more offensive. And rightfully so. And we can tell that you're putting on an act to do that. We can tell that you are puffing up your chest to encourage people to be offended over and over and over again, because you so desperately want to hate women but still have an audience and still be Mr. Famous Boy on TikTok, haha, funny guy. You so desperately want that, but you're tired of being this like stereotypical hot guy. That's fine. You don't need any looks to be a comedian. You don't need looks to be anything. But I don't think outwardly hating women is the right choice here, because I feel like there's enough men that eventually will get over the hump and say, that's not cool either. I don't like that either. I don't like that. And I think it's a lot more fun to sit down at a comedy show with a diverse audience instead of just men. That seems like a little sausage festy to me. So Matt Rife went on Jordan Peterson, who I sat through more of the Jordan Peterson interview with Matt Rife than I did his Netflix special. And it made me so mad. And not like, oh, I'm mad, I'm gonna bitch about it on the internet. It's just frustrating when you're able to see how fast like the very incel-y group of people will rush over to protect someone who wants to join their rank, knowing that like 2 weeks before they weren't, that wasn't a thing. It was like this new revelation that he now wants to be. It's so weird. I don't understand. I know damn well that Matt Rife does not have a PR representative. He does not have anyone on his team saying, you know what, maybe don't go on Jordan Peterson right now. It's not really going to help you gain the followers that you want. Because I feel like he wants the open-minded men. Grown men who can laugh in a whole array of jokes. Not just the men who laugh at hating women. That's just, there's not much room there to kind of play in. You know, you want a big field to land in. You don't really want a small little cage to bounce around. But if that's what you want, Matt Rife, you are welcome to it. Don't worry, we don't like you anymore. don't worry about the women. We're doing just fine with the likes of like Mike Birbiglia, Greg Davies, Alan Carr. I think we're good. We don't need you, Matt Rife, but unfortunately I think you're going to find out that you do need an audience. Yikes. Okay, so let's talk about Squid Games. Oh my god. So you guys remember Squid Games, the show on Netflix? It was about greed and and getting the money and people. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. I didn't watch Squid Games, but I know the basics of it. I know the basis of Squid Games, and it's about playing on the desire to not just win, but to have the final prize, and how far will you go? And it was a drama. I think it was a big deal with the thing and the red light green light game. Okay, so we know what we're talking about. I didn't watch it, but I do want to talk about the drama that is happening with the contestants of the reality game show Squid Game: The Challenge on Netflix. So Squid Game: The Challenge is on Netflix, and it's real human beings competing for like 4.56 or 6.56 million dollars, like $4.5 million, actual crap ton of money. And they're in the green jumpsuits, and they do the little cookie challenge where you have to trace the cookie out. They had the red light green light challenge, and it's real happening. It's on Netflix. You can watch it. I'm not gonna watch it from the things that I've heard. That the stories coming out about the living situations. Hi, Damon. Good to see you. How are you? The stories coming out about the living situations, and a lot of complaints that the contestants have had. It's very interesting to me. So Squid Games is about like pushing humans to the brink. In the show, people die. In the reality game show, people just get like ink. They have like an ink pack and it explodes, and you play dead. And it was like rumored that if you have like a bigger, more dramatic death, that it'll probably get aired, because there's so many people. They can't show, there's not enough time in the world to show everyone like there's a lot of people involved. That quickly whittles down. There was a complaint that there was no chapstick, no lip moisturizer. So it was cold. They were doing long days, and there was no lip chapstick, lip balm, and that people's lips were getting very, very chapped. And there was not chapstick, and so that there was lubed condoms though. That no one was using, obviously. Apparently no one was using lubed condoms. And then, so they were taking, once someone like realized like, oh, I could use lube as chapstick. I like beer. They were using the lube as chapstick. Didn't work, didn't help, but it is what it is. They tried, like hair conditioner and all this stuff. There's nothing like a good lip balm. Okay. It was cold during the red light green light game, where with that person, it's like a doll almost, and it's like I'm not even and it's like red light, and like if you move during the red light when they're watching scanning, you die. So you have to freeze however you are. They said it was going to be just a short shoot. It wasn't going to be long. They did have coats before the filming of the game. They had to take their coats off or jackets off, and they had to just be in the sweatsuit, unzipped with the ink packs ready to go. So if it exploded, they were able to see it explode. Now, unfortunately, it was like below freezing. And this is like big open field that they were shooting on. It was very, very cold, and they said that you wouldn't really be like frozen for more than like 5 minutes, which you can stand in one spot and not move for 5 minutes as a normal, healthy human being. Unfortunately, one of them they were going from like 10 to 15 minutes for like the red light portion. One of them even went to like 25, 26 minutes. So you'd have to freeze and stay in that position for that entire time if you didn't want to lose. And so people were complaining about that. There's been some complaints about that as well. There was a story that someone like completely just buckled, like they were like their joints froze and they just buckled and fell over. There were complaints about how long it took for medics to come out and assist the people who are freezing. Now, in my opinion, if you are going to attempt casting on that show, you are probably someone who has watched the original drama and quite possibly knew what the show was about, knew what you're kind of getting into, because it's literally just like the show. Now, I don't believe that Netflix wanted to do like some sort of social experiment to the level that they might have taken it to, but I do wholeheartedly believe that Netflix fully embraced this social experiment of how far people are going to go and how willing are they to fight to the very end for this money. Did they push it? I'm sure they did. It's Netflix, right? Like, it's Netflix. Did we all just say yes to accepting a higher bill monthly for Netflix? Yes. If you still have Netflix, you did. I just think you kind of knew what you were getting into. So can the like, of course they're not going to give you like 5-star Michelin meals every night. Of course they're going to give you some like little, bowls of rice and stuff. Like, you're going to get very minimal. They're going to go all the way with it. They're not, it felt very much like people were complaining about what they signed up for. And I'm not saying that, but I feel like some of the complaints are a little bit like, but you knew what you're getting into. You saw the show, right? Netflix did an experiment. They did this show. They pushed people to the limits. They made people so extremely uncomfortable, but dangled the biggest like game show prize in history, I think, or something like that, in front of them. Like, the goal is the money. So how many like fuck you can you do? You have to not care about anything else. It's very interesting, which makes me want to watch the game show. I'm not really interested in the drama. Like, I get it. I'm sure it was like fantastic. But it kind of makes me want to watch the drama, but it also makes me not want to watch it because I don't want to support the bad practices that I'm sure Netflix did take, allegedly. I don't know, like, for sure, but I'm sure Netflix allegedly went a little too far in the behind the scenes moments of maybe not giving people enough food or enough time to sleep or actual warm enough clothes. They said they had like thermal underwear and like 2 pairs of socks, but is that enough? Is that enough to keep you warm in below freezing temperatures for what is supposed to be like a 2-hour shoot that turned into like an 8-hour shoot or something like that? It's very interesting. I would very much like to see the contracts that these people signed. Another allegation that I heard, this one's really interesting actually. Another allegation that I heard was that the people who had a little more celebrity, so maybe like a bigger following on like TikTok or Instagram or even like YouTube or something like that, had mics and they were mic'd up. Everyone had mics, but allegedly people who were just like a normal, everyday human that didn't have a massive or even sort of bigger following online had dummy mics. That I thought was really interesting, because if that's true, then I think there's real necessity to kind of look into the practices of not just how they were treated on set, but into the legitimacy of the contest itself. I thought that was actually really interesting when I heard that. I was like, interesting. I'm sure Netflix is coming out with statements, or will come out with statements about, them treating them exactly fine. They met all the standards, etc., etc. Also, a lot of people, was Netflix over their head with the amount of people that like they had to deal with on a daily basis throughout this competition? Maybe. I don't know, I wasn't there, but I just thought it was really funny. Like, sorry your lips are chapped, but like, it's Squid Game. I don't know. They're gonna make you uncomfortable. The point is to reach the limits of being uncomfortable. I thought that was crazy, man. But hey, Henry Kissinger is no longer with us, so leave you on a good note. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that all I'm saying is that good things eventually happen. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. That's my hour. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will see you guys next Friday with some more insane, funny, hilarious, dramatic, tense drama topics for you. There really wasn't like that much that happened this week other than that really caught my eye. That cruise thing. I'm still trying to like conceptualize this 3-year cruise thing. I don't know. That's going to stick with me for a while. I'm going to keep my eye on it because if there's more movement on this cruise, I don't know, man. That's crazy. All right, that's it. Stay safe out there. Be good. Feel free to wear your mask out in public because we all know that there is a pneumonia thing going around. So please be careful out there. Wash your hands and be good. I'll see you next Friday. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay.